I'm Max, and I'm 12 years old. Halloween is my favorite holiday because it's the one time of year when I can be anything I want. But this year, something truly spooky happened that I'll never forget. It all started on October 30th, the night before Halloween. My friends and I were hanging out at my house, trying to come up with the ultimate prank for our neighbor, Mrs. Thompson. She was an old lady who was always telling us to stay off her lawn. Let's do something epic, my best friend Sam said. I had heard the stories about Hollow Hill, a spooky old place where kids dared each other to go, especially around Halloween. Legend said that if you stood at the top of the hill and shouted, "I'm not afraid of the witch," 3 times she would appear. Nobody really believed it, but we thought it would be the perfect prank to scare Mrs. Thompson. So, we decided to go to Hollow Hill. At midnight, the moon was full, casting long shadows as we crept through the streets, giggling nervously. When we finally reached the top of the hill, the wind howled around us and I felt a chill run down my spine. "Are you guys ready?" I asked, trying to sound brave. Sam nodded, and Emily, who was usually scared of everything, took a deep breath and said, "Let's do it." We lined up at the edge of the hill, looking down at the dark forest below. On 3, I counted. 1, 2, 3. "I'm not afraid of the witch. I'm not afraid of the witch. I'm not afraid of the witch," we shouted together. For a moment, nothing happened, and I felt a mix of relief and disappointment. Then the wind picked up, swirling around us like a storm. Suddenly, the trees at the bottom of the hill began to rustle, and a shadow darted between them. My heart raced. "Did you see that?" I whispered. Before we could react, a figure emerged from the trees. A tall, cloaked woman with wild hair that whipped around her like it had a life of its own. "You called?" she said, her voice echoing in the night. I felt my stomach drop. "This isn't real," I told myself, but the look on my friends' faces told me otherwise. The woman stepped closer, her eyes glowing in the dark. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" she boomed. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like they were stuck in cement. We were just playing," Sam stammered. "We didn't mean any harm." The witch narrowed her eyes and pointed a long, bony finger at us. "You've awakened me on the night of all nights. Now you must face the consequences." Just when I thought we were doomed, a loud noise startled her. A raccoon, looking for scraps, crashed through the brush nearby. The witch turned, momentarily distracted. We took that chance to bolt down the hill, our hearts pounding like drums. We didn't stop running until we reached my house. We collapsed on the front porch, breathless and wide-eyed. "What just happened?" Emily gasped. "I don't know, but I'm never going back to Hollow Hill," I declared, shaking. We all agreed to keep our distance from that place for good. The next day was Halloween, and we tried to enjoy the festivities, but every time I heard a rustle in the wind or saw a shadow move, I remembered the witch. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard a faint whisper carried by the breeze. "You've awakened me." Needless to say, I had a lot to think about that Halloween night, and even now, every October, I can't help but wonder if the witch is still out there, waiting for the next group of kids to call her name.